Hello, 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 everybody. So I am waiting for folks to join this live. If you are on Facebook or YouTube, I need you to speak when you come in the room because I will not be able to see you if you do not do so. And then if you are on TikTok, I'll be able to see you. What's up, Ty? Welcome, welcome. Hey, Max, Nikki, Noe, Monica, Marky, Jay, Poe, Sexy Sand, Superstar. Y'all are coming in really, really fast. What's up, Superstar Auntie Tiff? What's up, Vladimir? Hello, Uka. How are you? How is everyone doing? Everyone's good. What's up, Nutter Butter? Hey, Grayson. How are you? Hey, DJ. What's good, people? What's up, Lisa K? Hey, Conchita. Hey, Becky. Hello, hello, hello. If you are Facebook and YouTube, you got to speak or I won't be able to see that you've joined. What's up, Mary Shaw? Good to see you. Hey, Carol, Nancy G, Dill Grave. Good to see you. Hey, Katrina. Hey, C. How are you? What's up, Black Sashi? Hey, Sexy San, I'm good. Hey, Mandy, good to see you. Hey, Veronica. Hey, Becky, Rashad. Hello, hello. What's up, Carol? Hey, Big Chicka Wow Wow. What's up, Alex? Hey, Farah. Good morning. Good to see you over there on the YouTube world. Um, Thank you. Yeah. What up, Pie Slice? Hello, hello, everybody. What's up, Donna Ski? How are you? Hello. So there's been a lot of talk about the SAVE Act today. And so I wanted to go ahead and tackle that. Yeah. So Bella is at school. So yay, that's a win for everyone, right? Only a few more days on her antibiotics and she should be good to go. Hey, Crazy Kiss. And then Mila's doing great. So we're good. What's up, Bronze? Oh, thanks, Vladimir. I appreciate that. Hey, Kimber. What's up, Theo? All right. So folks, if you are new to my live, yeah, definitely good news. So if you are new to my lives, let me go ahead and give you a little bit of the way that I do things here. If you are used to people who are yelling and rage baiting and having gotcha moments, what's up, Brianna? That is not what we do in this space, right? So I ask for 4 simple things if you're going to participate in this live. Number 1, I ask you to be respectful, right? That's it. That's not hard to do. Just be respectful, both to me, to the people in the chat, to the people that we're talking about. Just be respectful. Number 2, do not use slurs. What's up, Angelisa? Do not use slurs of any kind, or you will be muted or booted or both from this live, right? What's up, Carla? Glad that you caught me today. Hey, Angie. Number 3, do not spam my comments. If you've got something to say it once, say it twice, but for goodness sake, do not say the same thing 5 and 6 times because it clogs up the comments. It doesn't benefit anybody and it's not helpful. Okay. And then number 4, do not type in all caps in the chat unless you are a moderator or someone that has a vision issue, and you and I have already talked about that, and you are allowed to type in caps. Other than that, I leave caps for moderators so that I can see things that are important for me to see. Gotcha. All right. So folks, that's it. That's the conversation. It's those 4 things. As long as you can be respectful, don't use slurs, don't type in all caps, and don't spam the comments. We're cool, right? We're good. What's up, Beach Bum? So good to see you. So that's it. This should not be a difficult thing. And if you've got something to say, then just request to come up and join the panel. You do not have to agree with me. I'm perfectly fine having a respectful conversation about things that we have a difference of opinion on. Okay. So there's a lot of information out there about the SAVE Act. And people have been talking about a lot of different things. And so I want to provide a little clarity around it. And so what I did was I actually, y'all know me. Hey, Kathy, I printed the bill, which is HR 22. And I printed the bill and I began to highlight what it said and what the purposes were for it. What's up, Gemini? Hey, Brandy. And then I decided that I would take a look at some other sites that I am fond of, right? So I took a look at the Brennan Center and some other sites like that to see what they had to say about this. Hey, Brittany, what's up, Winn-Dixie? And hey, Janice. And so I just wanted to do that so that I could get a good grasp on exactly what, because there were things that people were saying that's in this bill that I could not find. And I wanted to understand where people were getting the idea or the information or the inclination that they had, and why they were saying the things that they were saying. Okay. So a lot of it has to do with women and women voting and married women and all of those different things. Right. See, I have no idea if anybody got locked inside of a cyber truck, and honestly, I don't. I really don't care. I really don't care. Hey, Brandy, you just got off the phone with your rep about this office. Love that. So, Brandy, one of the things that I recommend for folks is don't just call. I recommend following up with an email. Okay. So I follow up with an email, and then I recommend also posting on social media and tagging your rep's office on social media for accountability purposes. A lot of times when we make a phone call, yeah, they log the call, but is that all there is? Right? Is that all there is? And so by following up with an email, A, you have something in writing. B, you can ask for a response, and then you can say whether or not you got a response, and you can even include or post what that response was. And when you tag them in social media, it gives a sense of, hey, I want you to know that I'm serious, and I want other people in our community to know that people are asking you about this. The other thing that happens, what's up, VJ? Hey, Lisa. The other thing that happens is when you post it on social media and you tag your reps in it, it lets other people in your community know about what's happening because maybe they don't know. It also gives them a reason to call or email your representatives as well, right? And so that's what's really, really important. So, to the person in the comments that's talking about the North Carolina Supreme Court position, I am very, very much aware of it. It's not on the agenda to talk about today. What I will do is pull the information on it and do a live on it in the next day or two. It is the only election that is not finished, and they are fighting very, very hard to try to keep that from going to the seat who won it, which is a progressive leaning judge. What's up, Doug? Hey, Parachute. Good morning. All right. So, yeah, I do. Yeah, we do need to talk about it. We've touched on it before. Here's the thing, right? And this is what we keep talking about, right? Is this is one of the tactics. One of the tactics is to the shock doctrine, having everybody. I took a break because my daughter and them are leaving town. I didn't go live last night. I did yesterday during the day. So what's up, Tootie? So the idea is to overwhelm you with so many different things that are going on, so that it's very difficult to even breathe and to know what to talk about, when to talk about it, like what's the most urgent, because there's a bunch of things happening all at the same time. And I'm going to give you an example. Okay. So, yes. And the Democratic winner did win by hundreds of votes. You are correct. Wasn't it something like, I want to say like 600, David, something like that, I think, right? I think something like that. So Angel for Life, let me go ahead and touch on that so that everybody knows. So here's what will happen. What Google did in reference to the Gulf of Mexico is if you are in the US and you are Googling Gulf of Mexico, it will come up Gulf. It will show you on the maps. It will say Gulf of America. If you are outside the US, it will show you both. And if you are in Mexico, it will show you Gulf of Mexico. I mean, yeah, Gulf of America if you're in the US, Gulf of Mexico if you're in Mexico. And it'll show you both if you're looking from anywhere else. What do I think about it? I don't think anything about it. I think it's a fucking distraction that's taking away from very real issues that people need to be focused on. I literally do not care what anybody calls that area of the map. I just don't. I think it's not important, and I think we ought to be focused on other things. That's what I think about it. Right, Melissa Gray, 600 plus. So that's my thought. So there you go. All right. Okay, so let me talk about yeah, so this is what I'm saying, guys, is there's a lot of things that are coming at you all at once. And so it's impossible to cover all of them. Yeah, Candy Kiss, she's good. At one time and in every live. So today I chose to focus on the SAVE Act. And the reason why I did is because there's a lot of information that is out there. And some of the things that are going on, folks, are meant to make you overwhelmed or to respond ridiculously, just like outraged or to whatever. And I'm going to give you an example of how I process these things and how I helped someone else process these things. So last night or yesterday evening, somebody saw the Trump and Elon press conference, which I did not watch. I did not watch. And so truth over narrative, you know what, you know that I'm familiar with you, right? So here's what I'm going to ask you to do is don't put misinformation in the comments. And if you have something that you want to talk about, then you go ahead and request to come up here on the panel, and then you and I can have a discussion. Okay. You know that I know who you are. So let's do it and do it the right way. If you've got something that you want to say and you want to have a conversation about it, then request to come up here. If you're just going to spew misinformation in the comments, in about 5 to 10 minutes, you're going to be muted. How is that misinformation? Because what you just said is not accurate. There you go. That's why. It's misinformation when it's not accurate. Period. So that's the way that it works. So again, right, James Dean, he admitted to not being truthful. He literally said, oh, well, you know, I'm going to say some things that are wrong. I'm not going to bat 1,000 every time. Like the dude literally said, I lied. Period. Okay, so listen, this is the thing. So someone saw that press conference yesterday and literally was like, we need to get together, and can we meet tonight, and can we do this, and can we do that, and just very, very like all caps, very emotional, very whatever. Okay. And this was my response back to this person, because it was about 5 o'clock in the afternoon when this happened. And so my response was, what do you think meeting tonight is going to change? What are we going to do possibly tonight that would be different or make a difference between 11 a.m. tomorrow when I go live? The answer is nothing, because they're not going to be in their offices all night long to take calls from us or emails. We're already emailing, we're already calling, we're already doing things, right? So you're going to get this sense of outrage sometimes. You're going to get this sense of urgency, right? But I want you to stop and think for a second, okay? Is there anything in this moment that absolutely has to be handled right now that would make a difference, between now and business hours the next day, right? And so my whole point is just thanks, Amy. So just take a deep breath, folks. And this is why I always tell you, you need to be informed, but not be so informed that you are overwhelmed. Okay. You're going to have to take a deep breath and have ways to be able to stay centered and to stay grounded so that you can do the work. Okay. So that's what I wanted to roll out and let you guys know for just a moment. Okay. Now, yeah, that's exactly what I said, John. It's a marathon, not a sprint. And so you're going to have to kind of find a way to balance yourself. Hey. Yeah, Stephanie, and it can be, but that's the tactic, right? Stephanie says over on Facebook, she says it's difficult finding the balance of staying informed and not going crazy. And I get that, right? I get that. And that is why we talk about what are the tools, what are the ways that you have to keep yourself grounded and to keep yourself kind of centered and on track. So whether that is music, whether that is the gym, whether that is art, whether that is yoga, whether that is meditation, whether that is art, whatever it is, you've got to find a way to do those things. So Trumpinator, again, don't spam my comments. So this is your warning. Don't spam my comments. See, there you go. You got muted. See how it works? I told you, you will not be able to put misinformation and disinformation in my comments and not get addressed. Right? So here, let's just do this. Johnny Burns, I sent you a request to come up to the panel. I sent you a request to come up to the panel. Come on, Johnny. You've been running your jaws in the comments, right? So let's have a conversation. Let's talk about what you're saying. Let's do it. I'm game for that. No? Where are you at, Johnny? See, here's what I don't do. This is the thing. If you believe so much in what you're saying, then you ought to be willing to get on the panel and have a conversation. Don't be like a mediocre man and hide out in the comments. Let your mouth actually speak and not your fingers on a keyboard. Let's have that conversation. I'm gonna ask that you actually provide waste of time. Well, dude, you're a waste of time. That's the point, is that you are a waste of time. Because I'm gonna require you to have facts. That's it. If you want to have a respectful conversation and talk about the facts, then let's do it. Other than that, don't spew misinformation in the comments. Period. Yeah. So, um, Johnny, I'm not a registered Democrat. So, I mean, keep making assumptions if that's how you want to get through life. Yes, receive grace. We sure are. So if you think that what I'm giving is false information, request to the panel and tell me what I'm saying that's wrong. How about that? If you're going to call me a liar, then get up on the panel and say it to my face. And then actually have the facts to back it up. Let's do that. What's up, Teresa? Good to see you from Oregon. Let's go. Like I'm just saying, because I'm not concerned about any of you. I will happily pull any single one of you up on this panel to have a conversation. And this is the thing. What I notice is that no, you don't say 2 words and you get blocked. You've said about 6 or 7 like dumbass statements and you're not willing to back it up. That's the problem, right? So like I said, either join the panel or shut up. I guess that's just where we are. What's up, Mama Steph? Good to see you. All right. So I want to talk about the SAVE Act today. And the reason why I want to talk about the SAVE Act is because there is a lot of, right, Jenny? There's been a lot of information that I'm seeing all over TikTok about the SAVE Act. So let me ask this question first and foremost. How many of you all have heard that the SAVE Act requires you to have an ID with the same last name that's on your birth certificate, and therefore married women are screwed? How many of you guys have heard that? And that it's going after women? Yep. Everybody is saying that, right? Gotcha. So nowhere does it say that in this piece of legislation. What it does say is that you have to be able to prove that you are a citizen. That's what it says, which, by the way, you have to do when you get your driver's license anyway, right? You have to do it to get your driver's license anyway. All right. So listen, if you are now married and you took your husband's last name, okay, and you didn't get it changed or any of that, right? Then all you have to do, right, not everyone drives. Listen, I got you. We're gonna walk all the way through it. So give me just a second. Give me just a second, okay? You can bring to the DMV a copy of your marriage license, your marriage certificate. You can bring that with you when you go to register to vote, to show the name change, to show that you got married. You can do that. This is not, let me just say this bill actually doesn't do anything. Well, over it, I can tell you that you can, because that's what I did. That's what I do, right? So that's literally what I do. Correct, Dirty Bad. I had to bring my marriage certificate at the DMV. Correct. And if you get divorced, you have to have that one too. And it can vary from state to state as to what they do require. The reason why people are talking about this is that women whose information does not match, and you don't have a real ID and you don't have a passport, then it can be challenging to get the paperwork. And that's what this is really all about. Okay. Now, But I didn't say only your marriage certificate. And could you tell me where in HR 2022, where does it say specifically in HR 22 that your marriage license isn't there? And you do get a court document when you change your name. So right, because this is the thing, right? And people need to know all of this. Because I can tell you now, I brought my marriage license. Right, Amy, I did the same thing. Because I literally have the bill here in front of me right now. And yeah, there's no mention of marriage in the bill. It does say license in the bill, and it's your driver's license, motor vehicle driver's license, and driver's license. The 4 times, then you bring your divorce paperwork, Ebony, which I've also done. Yeah, so literally I have my birth certificate, my social security card, my marriage license, my divorce paperwork. I have all of that. But the reason why this is a problem is because not everybody has all of that, and it's a barrier. So this is what we're talking about, folks, is it's a barrier for women. It is, but it doesn't specifically target women. To be quite frank with you, this bill is for nothing. To be quite honest, this bill was something that they could talk about before the election because it was talking about preventing illegal immigrants from registering to vote, because that's what it is. And it is. It's also for adopted children and blended families. 100%, right? But let me just tell you, the bill was designed. I just need for y'all to understand something. The bill is going to have, and this is the thing that I want everyone to understand. Every single one of these bills that targets a particular group of people, or it's being used as a talking point for a particular party, is going to have additional consequences for other people. Okay? It's going to have additional consequences for other people. Okay? Now, the bill is specifically, but here's the thing. When we say that it targets non-citizens, lions are better, let me just say this, okay? It is already illegal for illegal citizens to register to vote. They can face up to 5 years in prison and deportation for simply registering to vote. Do you all know that? Here's what it has. Listen, it is already illegal for non-citizens to register to vote. It already is. That is why I said this is nothing but a talking point for political points. This is why they started doing it before the election. This was election BS, folks. That's what this was. This was, oh, there's so many illegals voting. That's why he lost last time. So in case he lost this time, they'd have somebody to blame again, even though it wasn't true last time. So I want you guys to be clear that that's who it talks about. But it does harm people, and we're going to talk about that too. So the reason why it still matters, even though it's irrelevant when it comes to immigrants, when it comes to unauthorized non-citizens, right? It still impacts other people. Because now there are going to be poor people who are impacted. There are going to be poor people who cannot go and pay to get their marriage license, their birth certificate, their divorce paperwork, because there are fees to get all of that stuff. When you go to your government, And you have to get those things. Number one, you have to go during business hours. So if you work a traditional 9 to 5, then you're going to have to get off work to go do that. Got it? If you do not have transportation to get to where you need to go to get that, it's going to be an issue. If you do not have the money to pay for it, it's going to be an issue. There are lots of people where this is going to impact them because they do not have the means to be able to go get this information, whether that's transportation, whether that's childcare, whether that's money. Regardless of what it is, there are several different ways that this will impact people because it puts a barrier between people being able to exercise their road. It's not about just having an ID. It's me now. An ID alone won't do it. Okay? If you don't have a real ID, that's not enough. If you don't have a passport, that's not enough. So you can, in fact, work, have an ID, and it not be enough according to this bill. Got it? Well, Brian, it matters because there are other people who aren't in your position. So here's the thing. Let's just try this on for size. No, it needs to be not necessarily if it's not a real ID driver's license, which not every state requires yet, then no, it may not be enough for this bill. So except that it's not, bad motherfucker. So you will get muted or booted if you keep saying misinformation. So either join the panel to discuss it with me directly, or you'll end up getting kicked out of the live because I don't allow misinformation. Here's what we know, folks. In 2016, listen to this. In 2016, out of 42 jurisdictions, there were only 30 instances of suspected illegals voting, registering to vote. 30 in 2016. 30 in 2016. That is not that's not massive voter fraud. There's never been such a thing. There has never been such a thing. Yes, your passport is sufficient. So understand that the preface of this bill is to keep illegals from voting. But guess what? They already don't vote and they already can't vote. And again, Dana G, 30 people are now facing deportation or 5 years in prison if it's proven. There were 30 cases of suspected illegals registering to vote. Got it? 30 in 2016. That's it. Okay, so so here's the thing. This bill, and some of you all who keep running your jaws, you're intentionally not getting it because I don't think you want to. That's what I think. I'm so tired of that one is too many bullshit. Get out of my face with that. Listen to me. Really, get out of my face with it. Because if you are willing to hurt American citizens for one illegal that isn't changing the outcome of an election, you're full of shit. You don't care about America first. And you damn sure don't care about poor people. So when you say one is too many, get the fuck out of here with that. One American being disenfranchised over something that is irrelevant is too many. Because it is already illegal for non-citizens to register to vote. They face 5 years in prison and deportation if they do so. Which is why they don't do it. Exactly. That's exactly why the John Lewis Voters' Rights was never passed. And if you've never worked a campaign, let me just be clear, folks. If you've never worked a campaign, if there is someone that is undocumented, they don't even want to talk to you. They don't want to fill out paperwork. They don't want to do anything. They don't want to talk to you about it. None of it. Those people avoid government like you would not believe. And the fact that you all think that that's like not a thing is crazy to me. It's just crazy. No, it's not illegal. We said non-citizens. Just because someone is a non-citizen doesn't mean they're illegal. Like really learning the verbiage, you guys, learning what words actually mean is helpful when you want to understand something. Learning the meaning of a word is important if you want to understand what's actually happening. Okay, so let's be clear. A couple of things. Non-citizens, thank you, I'm not sure. Non-citizens already cannot vote. This law does nothing about that. Nothing at all about it. Doesn't help anything, doesn't do anything, doesn't any of that. Just so that everyone is very clear. It's already illegal. This is unnecessary. What this does do is it puts up barriers for people who are poor, for people who are minorities, to access, and for women to access those documents that are necessary and reduce their ability to vote. Now, why would that be beneficial to some, right? Well, that would be beneficial because a lot of Black people, right, they vote Democrat. A lot of inner city folks, they vote Democrat. And if you can keep those folks from voting, then you can increase your likelihood of being able to win. Yes, it is anymore. It is. Yes, it is anymore. And I'll tell you how. Okay. So when 93% of Black women vote Democrat, yeah, that's still the vast majority. When 82% of Black men vote Democrat, that's still the majority. So it doesn't matter if you all are trying to talk about this, this idea that all of a sudden that has changed. It hasn't. And let me tell y'all something. If you haven't noticed, American farmers, American farmers have now realized that this is a horrible thing, right? And they are talking about how much money they have lost since Trump took office. By the way, all you guys talking about inflation, when Joe Biden had it down to 2%, it's increased just in the last 3 weeks since Trump took office. This is what happens when you do dumb shit and act like America is the only country in the world. So, right, it's up 3%. So let's just be clear, folks, okay? Oh, a couple of things, and I'm going to stop responding to idiotic stuff in the comments and bring some people up on the panel, okay? So let's just be very clear. There are, let me just tell y'all this, out of the 150, I think, 150 gender affirming surgeries that have been performed. That's it. That's all in the whole country. 150, right? 146 of them were actually not people changing their sex. It was men who were getting chest reductions because they had too much fat and they didn't like the fact that they looked like they had, like they needed a bra. Okay. Gender affirming can mean a lot of different things. Gender affirming can mean a lot of different things. Right, moves. Well, the reason that you can know is when people voluntarily give you that information. That's how you can know. So let's just say you have right, Tom Dunleavy, moves. So when you talk about women who have an abundance of facial hair and they need to take hormones, right, to address that issue, that's gender affirming care. Like, that's gender affirming care. And that's how it would be classified. Y'all are so busy worried about trans people that make up less than 1% of the population that you are just like going willy-nilly. It's crazy. This is the thing that is so interesting. Yeah, the bill is voter suppression, 100%. So let me just go ahead and check some of the people that want to come up. So give me a second, folks. And when I bring you up, put yourself on mute until I can get to you. Okay. So give me 1 second and put yourself on mute until I get to you. Well, Brian Shaw, I think that they attack the trans population because it is a hot button topic that typically is tied to people's religion. Good morning, Tanisha. Good morning, Tech Lady. Right? That's one of the reasons why they do it. Is they play on people's religion, which is a whole other thing that we kind of talked about yesterday at length. All right, Kelly Blue Skies, you seem to be the only one that's connected and ready to go. So what you got? Ooh.
It sounded like when I first came into the room, you were talking about the stuff going on with the election thing in North Carolina. I was just going to say, for anybody in North Carolina, if you want to see if your vote is one of the ones being contested, you can go to the griffinlist.com and look yourself up.
There you go. Perfect. So yeah, so we did briefly mention that. Somebody in the comments was talking about it. For those of you who are unaware, so there is the only election that is still not certified is the North Carolina Supreme Court election. The Democratic candidate for that position, who happens to also be a woman, won by over 600 votes. It is being contested. And so Kelly is giving you information to see if your vote is one of those votes that's being challenged, where you can go check that to be sure that your vote is being counted and counted the way that you cast it. So thank you, Kelly.
Question, just to follow up on what you were just talking about.
Sure.
Is breast augmentation in women considered gender affirming care?
It depends, I guess. I don't know. It would be interesting. What I'll have to do.
You said breast reduction in men is considered gender affirming care, which makes sense. But it should also be the other way around. Breast augmentation in women should be gender affirming.
Yeah, I would think so. I would think so as well. I would think so. But what I'll do is actually try to look up from a medical perspective. I would think that it is. But yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna drop back down.
Okay. Gotcha. Appreciate you, Kelly. All right. So folks, so listen, you got to start to think about what this means, this bill, HR 22. So first, let me say this. Do y'all remember when I first started this live and there was somebody in the comments that said to me that it specifically said in the bill that the marriage license wasn't enough? And I said, go tell me where in the bill, because I read it and I was highlighting the bill. And that person said, give me a sec. I haven't seen them come back. If you have come back, please tell me where, because I have yet to find it in the bill or in any of the resources that I looked up. So if that is you and you came back, let me know. Victoria, I don't think so. Yeah, right. What's up, Sammy J? Okay, so here's what you have to understand. Right, it has already passed the House. It has not passed the Senate yet. The reason why this bill is unnecessary and also harmful is because it doesn't address a problem that actually exists. And what it does, again, is it puts up barriers to American citizens being able to cast their ballot.
Where are you going?
It is another way to do voter suppression.
Get back here, little girl.
And that's the point. What's up? What you want? Mila is over here. What you want? When Tutu's working, you can't get up here.
Come here, Munchkin. You want pants on?
Yeah, well listen, you have to get on pants before you come up here. Okay. Love it. Right. It did pass the House. You're okay. You're okay. You're okay. You're okay. You want to just lay right here? Yeah, it has, Brandy. Okay, you're all right. Okay, and when she gets home from work, you can. Yeah, as soon as she gets home from work. Okay. 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 You good now? Oh, you just want to lay right here? Okay. She's just gonna lay right here, you guys. So lifes sometimes, right? And so this is one of the things. So for those of you all who may be new to me, let me just let you know. So this is one of my 3 grandchildren. Her mom is in nursing school and her mom works. So I help watch her. And so yeah, sometimes life be lifing. You know what I mean? So again, the reason why this matters is because it's being put out. Um, Immigration was the only thing that the Republican Party had to run on in 2024. The Republican Party had done nothing of substance for the people. Okay. Um, and so it's important to know that is why this bill became a thing. They could get it in under the guise of voter fraud and illegals voting, right? When it wasn't anything that's necessary, because not only is it already illegal, right? Not only is it already right, Fran, illegal, but it's not a thing. There is no thing of massive voter fraud. There is no thing of hundreds of illegals voting. Why would they do that? Why would they risk it all? Why? Because it's not like their vote is going to change the outcome, right? They would not. They would not risk it. 5 years in prison or being deported. It's not a thing, folks. And let me tell you something. You need to be thinking about something that is actually impactful, something that actually matters. So here's what does happen as a result of this bill is it impacts the people that you know, the people who are citizens, the people who can't afford, don't have the means, the transportation, the money, the anything to get all of the documentation that they need, especially if they got married in another state, right? Period. So hold on a second. I need to, now that I'm sitting all the way back here, rocking a baby, I got to do my glasses to see y'all's comments. I'm nearsighted. So once I get this far back from my phone, it's like, whatever. Right. So here's the thing. How many of you guys, and I think somebody on my YouTube said it earlier. They said, no, I didn't say that there's no fraud ever. Here's what I can tell you is that there is no outcome determinative fraud, right? There is no fraud taking place that is significant enough to change the outcome of the election, right? That's the thing. Let me turn this off because there's no sunlight today. So I had my light on, but we're just going to get out of the sunlight and then still you're going to see the YouTube. All right, let me try to get up here. All right. So yeah, Jen, sure. Let me do Jen real quick.
Hey guys. Yeah, I wanted to make sure that we talked about Greg Palast. For those of you who haven't heard of him yet, and I wouldn't blame you if you didn't, he is a forensic economist. He's also an election analyst, and he does this work around the world and for our federal courts. The way he analyzes it is he uses data from our own government data, so post-election data, and it comes from the Election Assistance Commission. So he recently used that data because he had to wait for it all to come out, and he has an article on his website. And I believe he has a Substack also. So Greg Palast, if you would like to write it down, or if somebody wants to put it in the chat, it's Greg, Greg. His last name is Palast. So his website is gregpalast.com. And the article, again, this is for educational purposes, you guys, but this is also not tinfoil hat theory. This is actual data-based analyses, okay? So forensic analysis. The article is called Trump Lost, Vote Suppression Won. And he goes through in this article telling you all the methods that he used, where he collected the data, the systems that he used to analyze the data, line by line by line. And why this ties in especially to what Danny's talking about today is because they determined overwhelmingly that the suppression was targeted. It was targeted toward people of color, specifically Black, Hispanic, and Asians, and also toward young people, especially young women. And we don't have to, guess why that is, right? We already said it in the chat. If you're new here, it's because obviously people of color and also maybe some young people, especially young women, tend to vote more blue. So I'm going to give you two big numbers to take away from this, although I would urge you to check his article. There's also a video on it. So if you look up his name, there's probably also a video he did with Tom Hartman on his show, and he talks about it. But the main numbers I want you to realize is this: over 4.7 million votes were wrongly removed from voter rolls, incorrectly, shouldn't have been, because of, unfortunately, legal methods that states imposed in their states to challenge voters. Okay?
Tennessee is one of those states.
The new things that you heard about during this last election were things like voter vigilante. That's when people were allowed to go on a website and challenge thousands of names at a time. Okay, that's one way.
I can tell you that Tennessee, hold on, Jen, let me just tell you, I can tell you that Tennessee was doing that, and they were doing it by people's names sounding Hispanic. They were getting a letter. Those people in the state of Tennessee were getting letters challenging their voter registration, and all of them just miraculously had Hispanic sounding names. So people were challenging them to see if they were citizens, non-citizens, or what have you. So what Jen is talking about is a real thing.
Yes. And so not only that, but then you guys remember how we were on, before the election, we were on social media, right? Check your voter registration rolls, check your voter registration, right? We were urging everybody every other day, check it. And I don't know if you guys remember, but I remember seeing several people who were like, I have had to re-register more than once because I am a legal citizen and I was registered to vote before. For some reason, one of these tactics removed them from the rolls. And eventually, right, we were getting closer and closer to the election day. And people said, you know what, don't worry. If you're not registered, you go to the polls and you request a provisional ballot, right? You guys remember that term? Okay. So overwhelmingly, again, people in these suppression groups, right, were more likely to get a provisional ballot. Let me tell you, Greg Palast's analysis says that 43%, which is over a million, was 1.2 million of those provisional ballots were literally thrown in the trash. And again, it wasn't random. It was targeted toward the names that Danny talked about, how people sounded. Maybe there were, I don't know, I'm not going to accuse any actual ballot workers of anything, but they were targeted toward these groups to the point of nationally, you are 900% more likely to have your ballot thrown out if you were in one of these groups. 900% more if you are Black versus white.
Right.
9 times more. Okay, so these things are real, and this is what happened, right? The prior election that obviously didn't work
out. She did already. She did. His name is Greg Palast.
Yeah, Greg Palast. I did a couple of posts on my account that are a little bit easy to digest, but I do suggest looking at his whole article because in my posts, I don't talk about like his methodology or anything, which is important if you're going to look at this with a forensic mind, right? All right, so here's the important thing. they knew that in 2020 it didn't work out for them when they were talking about these the fake electors and things, right? That didn't work out. But this did work. And unfortunately, the reason why it's not like haul them to jail is because these states made it legal to do these things. Another one of the methods that they used was these postcards to confirm somebody's residency. And they sent postcards to a bunch of people. And you know how likely you are to let your mail pile up, or you're like, I'll get to that tomorrow, and then you don't get to it. If you didn't return that postcard, they took you off the rolls as being, well, they didn't confirm their residency, so they're off.
Yep.
It was really that simple. And it was a, quote, valid way to purge rolls. Okay. And again, Greg emphasizes, and I'll emphasize now, it wouldn't be a big deal if it was random or across the board, right? Didn't depend on race, didn't depend on age. What they found overwhelmingly was that it was very, very targeted. Now, I'm going to tie this again to a recent event, right? In California, we had wildfires, and there was a big argument again about whether California was going to get federal aid. And what did they put as a stipulation? I will give California federal aid if you change your voter rules.
Yep.
It wasn't if you change water policy. Well, they did mention water policy, but that was also a nothing burger because that water policy that he was referring to doesn't even actually exist. But the other stipulation was, I want you to change your voter rules. And why do you think? Because it worked.
Yeah.
Why do you think they're pushing this even post-election, right? It was a nothing burger before the election because it's not a thing, as Danny said. But why are they still on it? Why are they so hard-pressed about it now, right? Even though they won. It's because they know it works. And you guys, everybody in the nation who cares about democracy and actually having a voice as a citizen, I don't even care what side you're on. If you care about having a voice, you should care that they're going now after bigger states with more electoral votes. If 100%. They get California, nobody will have a voice. And if you want a voting voice, you need to care about this stuff. You need to push hard, regardless of whether you have a Democratic or Republican representative or senators. You really need to just push to say, look, no matter what we agree on or disagree on, we should have a voice. That's what democracy is built on.
Yep.
And right now it's being suppressed. So connect those dots. When you're seeing these things, you have to think about the bigger picture. And unfortunately, they've found ways to make it, quote, legal, even though it's wrong. Okay. Yeah, it's very wrong for democracy if that's what we want to have our government based on. So I wanted to share that. Again, gregpalast.com. I believe he also has a Substack. You can also probably Google the video, or don't use Google if you're now anti-Google. Use some other browser. But make sure you stay up to speed on this stuff. This is nonpartisan work. Okay. Yep. It's just the facts.
Yep.
All right.
Thanks,
Thank you for
Jen.
letting me share that.
Yeah, 100%. Thanks, Jen. Stephanie, do me a favor. Please don't put misinformation into the chat. Let me just be very clear. Stephanie, there is no proof at all that anyone, quote unquote, hacked the election. Do not put election conspiracy theories in the chat. Please don't do that. Please do not do that. You will get my live flagged. You will get us in trouble. Do not do that. And it's not beneficial to be frank, folks. It's not beneficial. What's up, Nico? Right? Listen, you can watch the Tom Hartman and Greg Palast interview on YouTube. Yeah, Jen and I had talked about his data before. I appreciate the refresher. But so this is what you all have to understand. All right. This bill was to ride the coattails of this voter fraud and be scared of immigrants because they're going to steal everything, shit, from your house and your job to your woman, to your vote, to you, whatever, to your benefits. Like everything about it was that. Got it? And so it's important for people to know that. Please don't spam the comments, capital Z. Please don't spam the comments. Don't say the same thing over and over and over again. I think you've said that same exact thing 3 or 4 times now. Please don't do that. So, Amy, did it pass the House before the election? Is that what it was? So here's the thing, Brian, right? When you say buying votes, exactly what does that mean? Exactly what does that mean? Right? If you're talking about the lottery, everybody knows about that. Does that actually equate to buying? I don't know. And that's for a court to decide, not me. Right? Well, I don't know about that if that's actually happened. If you're talking about the lottery, everybody knows about that, and that's for a court to decide. And again, I don't know that any of that would be outcome determinative. What we have to talk about, to be quite frank, I don't care what Elon did. What I actually care about are the 80 million people who didn't even get off their ass and go vote. I'm concerned about that. I'm concerned about millions of people that did vote and their vote wasn't counted because of voter suppression. I'm concerned about that. I am concerned about the things that are actually valid, because had those people voted, maybe we wouldn't be talking about the things that we're talking about right now. I'm concerned about the people who thought that they would have a protest vote. I oppose it. Right? I think that people who want to use their moral superiority as a protest vote with complete disregard for the impact on the entire country, I have a problem with those people. Period. Because your moral agenda does not weigh more than everyone else. Period. Just so you can feel good about where you land in the world. And for all of the people who talked about, oh, well, she's not pro-Palestine enough. She was the only candidate who said she wanted a two-state solution. She was the only candidate who said that. And the other candidate said, I'm going to flat out, what's up, Sonny? I'm going to flat out let Israel finish the job. And that's exactly what he's talking about now when he's talking about permanently removing Palestinians and them not having a right to come back to Gaza. How did that protest vote work for you? Thanks, John. How did that protest work for Palestinians? Yeah, Tulsi was confirmed, which we knew. So, folks, listen. Right now, unless 2 or 3 Republicans switch sides and they defect, they can confirm whoever they want because they have the majority in the Senate and the House. The question is going to be whether you go and look up, did your Democratic candidate vote for this person? And then that's a problem. But all of them, every Democrat can vote no. And they still get confirmed. So unless you have a Republican who values the country and their constituents more than holding their position, holding their power, this is what it's going to be. And this is why we kept saying to every single person that it's important to get out and vote, and not just vote for the presidential election, but for all the other things. And the thing about it is this, folks, listen, everybody wants, okay, so listen, when I say everybody, of course it's not everybody, but the majority of the people want to do things that would improve immigration. Okay. So what does that mean? If we wanted to actually improve immigration, then guess what we would do? If we wanted to improve immigration, we would get more judges to actually handle the immigration system, the backlog of cases that we have. Okay. We would do that. We would have more legal pathways to citizenship. That's what we would do if we really wanted to fix it, right? If we really wanted to fix immigration, we would be a better neighbor to other countries around us and helping them have their stabilization. No, Biden didn't have those, Megan Moore. You're not accurate. You're not accurate at all. Yeah, Kaylee, give me just a second. Biden didn't have those. So let me just give you a few facts. When Donald Trump came into office, he did not. And if you think he did, come join me on the panel. I'm sending you an invite right now. So I'll tell you this. When Donald Trump took office in 2017, we had a backlog of immigration cases that was about 521,000. When Donald Trump left office, we had over 1.3 million cases that were backlogged in the immigration system. So, Megan, what do you think that Joe Biden had? Megan. 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 You're on the panel. Speak. People don't have time to wait. Well, that's why I want you to talk. You can literally talk right now. You're on the panel.
I did not know that. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, that's amazing. Okay, so I've never been on TikTok before, so just have a little patience because I am so interested in what you're saying, and I absolutely could be wrong. So I want to make sure I'm not wrong. But I actually have been working with various groups trying to help people from the Middle East go elsewhere, like Canada or Ireland or US or wherever they've been going. And I've been doing it for like 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, there were two things that I was working with, and I think it was with Adam Schiff, but I can totally find it for you.
What you said? You said Joe Biden had those. What did Joe Biden have?
So there was I wish I knew the name of it. Adam Schiff had it set up, and then there was a bunch of politicians who were working, and they were hiring people to go over visas so that they could expedite it because they knew that time was running out for if Trump won. So basically, they were hiring people to expedite visas for the Afghanistan allies, for people from Syria, for people from Palestine. And I was helping people do paperwork.
But my question is, I'm asking you, what did Joe Biden have that's an actual part of the immigration system?
This was live. Would it be all right if I sent it to you?
Right, but no, but it's fine that it's live right now. My question to you is, when we're talking about a mechanism that's part of immigration law, what we do not have. So what you're talking about is something that is not part of immigration law. That's not something that exists and is always there, right?
Okay,
and
so how best would it be for me to support getting this put into law?
So
because I really do care.
Right. So listen, the immigration system has to be fixed. So are you, let me ask you this. Are you aware that there were members of the Senate GOP that at the request of Donald Trump intentionally blocked a new immigration piece of legislation that was a standalone bill in 2024? Okay. So that piece of immigration, which by the way, it was sponsored by Senator Lankford, who is one of the most conservative Republican senators that we have. And he's from Oklahoma. And there were a lot of Dems that didn't like it, but they were willing to support it because we needed to do something.
Yes, I know exactly what you're
because it was going to be more harmful than it was going to be helpful. So when we want to talk about
the wording in the bill, correct?
Right. So when we talk about helping the system in its entirety, is, as I said, so one of the things that Donald Trump did that absolutely hurt our immigration system was he changed the performance plan of the immigration judges in 2018. As a result of that, we immediately lost 45 judges. They either left entirely, right? Or they went to a different department. So we left them. So without those immigration judges, we don't have the ability to hear the cases. Right?
Understood.
Right?
Yes.
So when we don't have enough visas and a legal pathway and enough people to do them, then this is how we have a problem. But it's not a case of a bunch of people just running over the border, because that's not a thing that happens.
No, I totally understand that.
Okay, so what has to happen? What has to happen? Go ahead.
So I'm just a mom in New Jersey. And
don't say just a mom. Moms are fantastic. Don't say just a mom.
Right, but I'm from restaurants, so I was working with immigrants my entire career,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm actually training to be a paralegal for immigration law.
Yep.
However, I had to stop my studies just briefly to have surgery.
Gotcha.
But in the meantime, I've had people approaching me from various countries who are like, okay, how do we get this bill passed? Who do we approach for this? How do we do this? So I basically just spend all my time writing various politicians, trying to get them to see that we support the bill. We support legal pathways to the United States, and we need the bills to be written in a way that does no harm.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. So what it has to take is it really has to take it has to take people that are interested in not towing to party lines, but literally looking at how do we actually fix it, right? So things
that's
that
my
matter.
main thing.
So
Right.
so things that matter to people sitting in office are the numbers of constituents, right? So let's just
Absolutely.
say, so if you've got people that are asking, what those people can do is they can go in their local communities and they can get petitions signed by local people. When you end up
I've
having,
totally done that. Yeah.
right, but
So
here,
literally, I'm Mikey Sherrill's constituent, and because she has been very pro, she was in Afghanistan, she was in various places in the Middle East, and she supports legal pathways to Middle Eastern refugees.
Mhm.
And what I was thinking was Adam Schiff was working on a bunch of bills, but they just stopped when Trump came into office.
Right.
Everything kind of just stopped.
Yeah.
And so now my thing is, where I was doing this for like 3 or 4 years while Biden was in there, and now I don't know how to start over.
Yeah. So for me, let me just say this, right? So a couple of things is you, like I said, it's not just about getting, so you said you did that. What did you do with the petitions once you got them signed? What'd you do?
Gave them to Mikey Sherrill.
Okay. Anybody else?
Adam Schiff.
Okay. Any Republicans? Any Republican?
No, I never thought about that.
Okay, so
like, I would be totally into that because my dad was a labor organizer,
right,
and he's like, you cannot get a consensus if you just tell people they're awful or evil, because people are not reading what I'm reading. I'm a stay-at-home mom with a smartphone, but when I was a chef working 100 hours a week, I didn't have access to my smartphone to read it and be as educated as I am now. And I see that because my family's in Alabama.
right.
My family's in the South, but they're working 3 or 4 jobs. They're not, you need someone who's going to talk to and connect and show people, yes, we're not just saying this bill is bad. We're saying it's badly written and here's why.
Well, but here's the thing. So first of all, if you want to get someone on board, for me, what I have found to be the most effective thing when I'm talking to Republicans is I make it about money. That's what I do. That's when I'm talking to Republican legislators, I talk to them about money. So example, so if I'm going to have all of these, these petitions and these signatures, right? I'm going to work to also get them in the communities and in the areas where there are Republican, where there's a Republican who's leading that district, right? And then I'm going to be able to go.
I have done that to a certain degree because New Jersey is turning very purple. It was very Democratic, and now it's also incredibly refugee friendly, but it also has the detention camps were in New Jersey, in my county,
right,
and they kept that hidden. So we're just like in this weird place where we have Democratic candidates and politicians, but then they're holding things back like that. Like there's no way they didn't know the detention camps were in Essex County, but they didn't talk about it.
Right. So, but let me just take it a step further, okay? Because it's not just about doing small things. So here's the thing: if you were to go into those communities where they have a Republican representative, and you have a one pager And that pager, what I like to do with it is I will do an infographic, and on one side is myth, and that fact,
Yeah.
and then the fact actually also states where the resource for the information, so people can see it for themselves. And so when you go to and you want to have a conversation with someone, it's not, hey, I want to tell you why this bill is wrong or why you should, want whatever. It's, listen,
Did you know this?
no, I don't even do that, because did you know? People don't want to say they didn't know because it indicates they're stupid. And then people are embarrassed.
That is actually really true. Because
Right.
I spend a lot of time campaigning for various candidates in the South, because my family is in Alabama and Kentucky and Louisiana. And basically, there are candidates who are trying to get elected, but it's
But
really
so, but listen, so what you have, the way to go about this isn't just about on a congressional level, even though that's where immigration legislation will come from totally, right? But states are allowed to have, and they do have, their own immigration laws. So the way that it is written, so for example, 8 USC 611, that particular piece of legislation and that part of the immigration law is about undocumented immigrants not being able to have SNAP benefits, any federally funded benefits they do not get. Okay.
Yes.
So, but states can, and there are states that have passed laws that allow them to get. So if you're in the state of New York, if you're an unauthorized immigrant, if you're undocumented, doesn't mean whatever. It's just if you don't have if you're not a legal, if you don't have a legal status in, right?
Yeah.
So if you do that, then what happens is in New York, if you are working, you can actually buy their Healthy New York, which is like Medicaid, on the marketplace. But you can do that because New York, the state, passed its own law. So so you start.
I didn't know that. That's so different than even when I'm talking to people from New York who are like from upstate New York.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know that.
Right. Well, that's because a lot of people don't know. So California has done a law like that. So has Illinois. And that's why when you hear people saying, "Oh, these people have benefits," people think that that's nationwide. It's not. So they have.
I understand where that came from, because I was like, no, that's not true, because basically New Jersey does not have that, and I'm in New Jersey.
Yeah. So if they work in New York, they can purchase health care. But that's money, right? So listen, so this would be my approach. I would have an graphic. I would have an infographic that would have myth versus fact with the most common things that people hear about immigrants and that they're scared of, whether it's that they're taking their jobs, whether it's that they're voting illegally, whether it's that they're getting benefits. And then I would have the fact in reference to that thing, and I would have the source listed for each fact. When I start a conversation with someone, I literally will say, hey, listen, I'm not representing any particular party. I'm just a concerned citizen. I want to know if I could just share one or two things with you, and then I just want to leave something with you, right?
Okay.
And I will make a joke.
That's genius.
Yeah,
and I feel like I'm really comfortable with that. Because basically, as soon as you say, because I'm, even within my own party, I'm not as liberal progressive as a lot of people, and I'm not as centrist as others. And it shuts down so many conversations. And I'm like, I pretty much guarantee you we want the same things.
Well, so that's the way that it is. But so here's the thing. When I talk with people, I tend to make a joke, right? Because I literally will say, listen, I'm not asking for your firstborn. I don't want 10 hours of your time. This isn't a timeshare tour. I'm going to talk to you literally for like 2 to 3 minutes, and then I'm going to get out of your face. And typically they will smile if they don't chuckle, because that's what they're afraid of. They don't want to be standing there forever talking to you, right? And I'm going to leave this with you. So here is the thing, right? There are lots of things out there about immigrants these days. And so what we are in the mission of doing is just providing information that's not easily accessible to everybody. And and we may not know. So now what I'm doing is I'm giving them a justification for not knowing, because I'm telling them it's not easily accessible to everyone.
Genius.
Okay. So listen, I just want to give you this because it's not easily accessible to everyone. Anybody who knows the daggone government knows that it's a bureaucratic system, and it's really hard to get to get the information
right
that you
now,
want.
It's almost impossible to get
Right.
information.
And
that's why I had the wrong information.
So this is
because
how
I'm reading it myself.
Right.
And then I'm only able to parse what, and of course I don't want to give misinformation. That is the
Right.
biggest problem right now. And I have good intentions, and I do have a little bit of a background, but it's things harder because you think you know.
Well, so like
what you're
literally,
reading.
I will tell you now, if you talk to anybody, the way, and you bring up Adam Schiff, they're not going to want to hear you. He's one of the most hated Democrats there is. If you
I
talk,
had
if
no
you,
idea.
yeah,
That's so
I'm just,
crazy.
well, and so here's what I'm saying is it's staying away from triggering people. So I'm never going to talk to somebody and start talking about Jasmine Crockett. I'm not going to talk to anybody and talk about AOC. I'm not going to talk to anybody and talk about Adam Schiff. I'm not going to talk to anybody and talk about Nancy Pelosi because people can't stand them.
Okay.
Neither am I going to
Good
talk
to know.
about, and I'm not going to talk about Trump, and I'm not going to talk about Elon. I'm going to talk about policy and how it's impacting their life because that's what politics truly is. Politics is
Okay.
not about the
So-
politicians. It's about.
What do you think about me reading the policies and then like simplifying it?
Well,
making sure I'm correct, and then being like, okay, so this policy, the reason it's not well written is this one line is going to do this, and then or is that
but
just
now
too
you're
much?
telling them, and so let me tell you something. So here's the thing: when you tell people, they don't believe you.
Okay.
When you say it, they don't believe you. When they say it, they believe it. So
Okay.
the key is to be about making a conversation and leading them to a path that they go to.
If they
right?
come to the conclusions themselves.
They have to. Okay, they have to come to the conclusion themselves. And so you may have seen the chat where people talk about, so Blue Honey Pot, they can't sign up for my training tonight because my training tonight is maxed out. 100 people registered for it and it's maxed out. I'm doing a training tonight on this stuff. And it's maxed out. I put it out a week ago and it's full. 100 people signed up. So, but the thing is, so just the same way when I started this live, I said, how many of you guys have heard information about the SAVE Act and that it's targeting women and specifically married women, and you're not going to be able to vote if your name today doesn't match your birth certificate.
But I didn't know what the bill was called.
It's HR 22, but everybody is talking about this, right? And so literally what I do is, and everybody was like, me. And I was like, great. So let's talk about what the bill really says, because nowhere in the bill does it say anything about a marriage license. Nowhere. It talks about your driver's license a lot, but it does not talk about your marriage license. The bill, quite frankly, doesn't do anything except disenfranchise and suppress the votes of economically disadvantaged people.
Yes.
And
I mean, my stuff was stolen. So I lost my apartment in Sandy. I don't actually have any of my IDs anywhere. I got taken off my honeymoon flight because I didn't have the right name on my passport.
Hey, where are my mods and who are we looking for? Where are my mods? So listen, it's not true that married women won't be able to vote because of this new act. That's not true. Not true at all. So here's the deal. I guess Thomas Lyle or somebody is saying a bunch of stuff. Okay, so let me just say this. Okay, before I go back to SAVE Act. The way that we go about these conversations is so I would be going and it's not going to be a single touch. So first you just show up and you leave people with information, and then you ask permission. And you say, may I share something with you? I use the word share all the time. I don't ever want to say to somebody, well, can I tell you something? Because just the word tell, it sounds harsh. It sounds like you should know this. Well, let me tell you something. No, it's can I share something with you? Because here's what I honestly believe. I think all of us want the same thing for our families.
I think so too.
And I'm not here to talk about politics. I'm not here to talk about anything else. I'm here to talk about what's actually happening with policies and how they impact our neighborhoods. So one of the things that everybody was talking about was about all these people being in hotels in New York and all of them having $5,000 on a debit card. Did you hear about that? They're going to say yes. And I'm going to say me too. So I wanted to find out what actually happened. So I actually went to the New York City Council's website and I read their report about it. And here's what actually happened. So when Florida and Texas governors bus their immigrants or ship their immigrants to New York in the middle of January where it's cold. And those people are now legally in our system, whether they're seeking immigration, whether they're being processed, however they're being processed, we are responsible for them because they are legally here and they are going through due process. Okay. Which means we're responsible. So when you drop them in the middle of New York City in winter, we can't let them freeze to death because that would be on us.
They're in the system and now we're responsible.
We're responsible for them. So what the city did was actually something that was really smart. The city talked to business owners who had hotels that were on the verge of closing, that weren't making money, that were, not being utilized. And they worked out a contract with those folks so that those immigrants could stay there for 28 days before they went through the processing center. That's what actually happened. And then what they did is, instead of normally making boxed meals for them, where they had to hire people, pay for the boxes, pay for the food, and do all of that, instead of doing that, what they did is they gave him a card that was preloaded with about $350 for a family of 5 per week. And then what happened is those people went out into the community and they used that debit card in local businesses, in local grocery stores. And so that money actually stimulated the economy and it saved the city money overall. And so
I think I actually did know that part. What I didn't know is that there was like how they got there was actually legal.
Yeah.
So like that part is always kind of obscured when you're talking with someone. It's like, wait, we're responsible for the people that came in and are seeking asylum because now is it human rights though, or is it like, is this American law or is this human rights?
No, I mean, it's always going to be American law. It's always because this is the United States of America, right? Yeah. So it's always going to be, it's our immigration law, right?
So they're not breaking the law by giving the refugees, asylum seekers, a place to stay and some grocery money. They're not getting benefits. They're just...
Right. They can't get federally funded benefits, period.
Okay.
So if you go to my link tree, if you click my link, don't do it right now, but if you go to my TikTok profile, I have a link tree in there. There's a whole Google Doc about immigration, and it has all of the immigration laws. So there's 8 USC 1158, 8 USC 1125, 1126. There's also 8 USC 611, which outlines the federal stuff that they don't get. All of that is in there. And so
I don't want to take up any more of your time. I really appreciate it. I'm going to go and I'm actually going to follow you. This is my literal first time on TikTok.
Gotcha.
So
yeah.
I have zero experience with anyone on it.
Yeah, no worries.
I will be doing that. And I really appreciate it because honestly, it'll make me more effective.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the whole idea. And so you have to get people to want to have a conversation with you, right? Okay. So I just told her where to get the link tree, Blue Honey Pot. The link tree is in my TikTok profile. So, and if you're watching,
I get off to join your link tree, so I'm gonna go do that. But I appreciate you and thank you.
You're more than welcome. All right, so listen, folks. Yes, there will be more trainings offered. This is the first one that I opened up to the entire public, but there will. And let me go ahead and answer this for people who are going to ask. You do not have to be a subscriber to come to trainings. I offer them to everybody. You don't have to be a subscriber. Subscribers do have benefits, but they're not the trainings. There's other stuff. Okay. So let me go and talk. I'm going to circle back around. Yeah. In my link tree, there's a whole section on all of the immigration law that's there. There's different paragraphs. Okay. So thanks, Lulu Bell. I appreciate that. Yeah, no worries, Chelts. I got you. Okay. So is the Discord set up to subscribe? There are 2 sides to the Discord. There's a subscriber side, and then there is just a general side to Discord. And a lot of the links from the link tree are in there as well. So that's what's happening. So, let me back up. Whew, there's a lot happening in this live. So let me back up for a second. When we talk about the SAVE Act, this act, when it was first introduced, right, was nothing but a Republican talking point because the only thing that they were talking about was immigration. So let's demonize immigrants, right? Yes, Rebel Skeptic, it's in the Discord, but I have to work out kink for the highest level. So I'm still working on that. Okay. But so listen, yes, Veronica, the monthly subscription is there. It's in the Discord. Yes. Yes. So the states do check voter registration forms against Social Security. Yes. And listen, some states have different processes, folks. Some states have different processes. The thing to understand about this is that we do not have large scale voter fraud or any kind of outcome determinative voter fraud when it comes to illegal immigrants. It's not a thing. It's not a thing. It's not a thing. So that people understand that. And we already have a law that addresses that. This law is unnecessary. And what this law does is it taps into the hatred and the anger around immigrants, right? It taps into that. And as a byproduct, it suppresses the votes of actual American citizens who have the right to vote. It suppresses the vote of people that are disenfranchised, people that are socioeconomically, at a disadvantage. It impacts people who don't have the means to get these documents. That's the byproduct. So what they do is they tap into your fear, your anger, your hatred, your lack of knowledge, which is not a bad thing. That is not derogatory, people. Listen to me. We are all ignorant about something. And that's nothing to be embarrassed about. Absolutely nothing. I spend a lot of time researching things so that I'm not ignorant when I sit up here in front of you. Because I don't know all of this stuff by heart. But what I'm going to do is before I talk about it, I'm going to make sure I know what I'm talking about. And I didn't just print off the bill. After I printed off the bill, I'll tell you some other sites that I went to. Okay. So I read this article by Axios, right? And then I went to a Bipartisan Policy Center website. And then I went to the Brennan Center, which is fantastic because they do lots of, it's called the Brennan Center for Justice. They do lots of research and studies and publish all their findings. You can actually download their study that they did on non-citizens voting. It's available on their website. I'm going to put it in the link tree. You do not have to change your name to your maiden name. That's not a thing. Okay. So the places where I went to look was the Brennan Center. I went at the Bipartisan Policy Center, and I was reading an article by Axios, and there was one other place that I went. Okay. So I had the bill, and then I went to 3 or 4 other sources. And it's important to do that. And you want to go to sources that aren't leaning one way or the other. If you heard me, I did not say I went to MSNBC. I did not go to CNN. I did not go to Fox News. I didn't go to OANN. I didn't go to any of News Nation. I didn't go anywhere except to actual research centers and actual organizations that are interested in this type of thing that have done those studies, because I wanted to find out exactly what it did or didn't say. It was introduced under the guise of immigration because they know that's a hot button issue for people. Fox Entertainment, yes, right? They know that that's a hot button issue, and people will go, "Ooh, immigration, yes," right? The truth of the matter is there is already a law that prevents illegal immigrants from voting. And if they register to vote, guys, they face 5 years in prison. Thanks, Lisa. I appreciate that. They face 5 years in prison and deportation. It's simply not worth it. It's not worth it to them to do this. It's not worth it, especially when it's not a thing, right? I was not an educator. I actually only got on TikTok at the end of July because my oldest daughter asked me to join TikTok. Most of my stuff had been doing, I had been doing on Facebook and other places. So here's the thing. When they can tap into something that is a trigger subject, it doesn't allow you to color code it. But if they can tap into something that they can use to manipulate you, whether that's your faith, whether that is, a hot button issue. So what is it trying to do? What it's trying to do, Allie, is get you to support something that actually suppresses the votes of real American citizens. That's what it does. immigration law, 8 USC 1158 starts the asylum law, but 8 USC is immigration stuff. United States Code, and it's 8. And that's the deal. So they're going to use it. So that's the same thing they do when they talk about going after trans individuals or intersex individuals or DSD individuals. Yeah, 8 USC 611 is about what benefits they do and don't get. Okay, all of that is in there. That applies to any immigrant that does not have legal citizenship. Anyone that doesn't have legal citizenship cannot vote in federal elections. It's not a thing. And if they do, they face 5 years imprisonment and deportation. They're not going to risk that. But what they do is they tap into something that you're concerned about, whether it's immigration, whether it's LGBTQIA issues, whatever it is. And then underneath that, the byproduct of this bill is it suppresses the votes of actual American citizens. That's what it does. If you don't have the transportation, so I'll give you an example. My daughter got married back home where we all lived. I was back home taking care of my mother. She was in I'm telling you right now, Allie, I'm going to tell you exactly how. She was living in another state, like several states away. In order to get her new ID in the state where she was, she needed a copy of their marriage license to show how her name changed. That's what she needed to get her ID in the state where she was living in the South. So she called me because I was back home where she was born, and I had to go down to our local office and get her birth certificate, get her marriage license for her, and send them to her all the way in the state where she was at. Now, what if I wasn't there? Because I didn't always live there. I was only back there because I was helping take care of my mom. So what if we had no one back there where she's from? She now lives several states away, right? She's a mom with 3 children, all of them under the age of 11, right? One of them a toddler. Her husband works, right? She can't get her driver's license or a state ID until she gets this stuff, so she can't drive herself. How does she get that information from another state? How does she get it? That's what I mean when I say it suppresses the votes of other American citizens who have the right to vote. No, there's no way to get out of state documents unless, you got to have a passport, but how do you get a passport? How do you get a passport? Well, it depends. So, Linda, when you talk about birth certificates, you have to ask, what do you have to provide to be able to get them online? What do you have to provide to get the birth certificate online? Yeah, you can renew your passport, but how do you get the passport initially? Right, driver's license. Well, if you don't have a driver's license because you don't have your birth certificate, how do you get the birth certificate? And then how much is a passport? You see what I'm saying? It is a conundrum that gets in the way of people. It is a conundrum that gets in the way. It is a hindrance. It is a hindrance to people being able to vote who should be able to vote. Why do you think it would affect conservative females more than liberal females? And it doesn't just affect women. It doesn't just affect women. It affects people that are socioeconomically disadvantaged. Right, Margaret. And how long does it take? And when's your deadline to register to vote? All of these things are an issue. All of these things are a issue. So I'm just telling you all, when you talk about what does it do to people, this is what it does. And my personal opinion is when you are listening to creators and all they are talking about is married women who've changed their name, they're doing a disservice to everyone else that this law would impact. I'm telling you, listen, they are doing a disservice to everyone else that it impacts. It is not just about married women who have changed their name. No, S-Tut, that is not true. You can't just get a daggone birth certificate because you know the information.
Did you?
Yeah. Give me 1 second, sissy, okay? It's not a thing. So, yeah, names are changed for adoption. Names are changed for lots of different reasons. Right. Every states and counties have different laws. So, like, what's true for you may not be true for everyone. And this is the thing that I wish that you all remembered is that when you think about this, no, they don't need to change their name. No. Right? Do you have a real ID? Do you have a passport? Do you have a copy of your marriage certificate, your birth certificate, and your social security card? So I'm just telling you guys, it's not as easy as it used to be to get your birth certificate or your social security card because they changed a lot of things after 9/11. Complicating reduces votes, which is bad. Correct. 9/11 changed a lot of things about how we used to be able to get information. It just did. Wait, sissy, hold on for a second, because you can't get up here with your hair looking crazy. You was playing, but girl. No, look, I got to just put it up. I'm not going to brush it. Let me just pull this out. So listen, that's the thing. We have to be talking about it, not from just one perspective, but who it all impacts. It impacts everyone. And this is the thing. We cannot be looking at things about what it's true for you in your community, in your state. You cannot be thinking about what works for the entire country from the idea of what works for you. You ain't everybody, and everybody isn't you. Try that on for size. Try that on that we should be looking at legislation based on how it looks for everyone else. Yeah, Lisa, I am. Give me 1 second. Because we are all in this together and we are all connected. And listen, while it may not be, I'm done, sissy. While it may not be you that it impacts today, it could be very well be you that it impacts tomorrow. Yes, requiring the real ID. There's a cost to voting. 100%. Here, baby. Right? That's what's important for people to know. I'm going to bring up Lisa real quick. And Xavier, I got you next because I brought you up earlier, but you disconnected. What's up, Lisa? Go ahead.
Yeah, hi. I didn't realize that you pulled me up. So I have registered. I live in New York. I told you before, I'm in the county outside of New York, about 40 minutes out. I have registered over 2,500 people within my county. And I can tell you that I focus specifically on marginalized people. I registered Black, Latinos, and LGBTQ. And I went on the buses during Martin Luther King. Can you hear me well?
Yep, I can hear you.
I went on the buses in the county that I live on, and I started registering voters. A lot of people that are unhoused, veterans that are homeless, that don't even have their DD-214s.
Yep.
But they know their social security numbers. What happens is when you register a voter, and I was also I've been a poll worker since 2016. When you register a voter for the first time, what happens is that county's Board of Election submits it to the state. The state then verifies any numbers that were put on the voter registration form, whether it's the ID number of their driver's license or their state ID or their social security number. And they have systems, they check it with social services, New York State, anything that was done within New York State that you had something done, that's how they verify it. So this act that they passed in the House, the SAFE Act, which my congressman was one of the who signed on to it, it's actually specifically targeting Black and brown people. It is not,
and poor people, and poor people,
and poor people that are living in shelters, that are transient, people that don't have a permanent location, that they lose their documents. So what I did in my area, and everybody can do this wherever they live in their county, go to their county legislative meetings and ask in a way to their legislators, depending if it's Republican or Democratic run, to have them cover the cost of getting the birth certificates completely. So I live in an area where there's a lot of veterans, and there are a lot of homeless veterans. There's about 3,500 people homeless in my overall county. So I specifically, because they don't care about Black and brown people, because they're Republicans, they don't care. So I phrased it because it's all about framing. That is very true. It is about how you frame things to the Republicans. I framed it. There are people who served in our military who have dedicated their life, and they're living on the streets, and they can't even get their DD-214s or services by the VA because they don't have their birth certificate. Because before you get any document, you have to have your birth certificate. Mm-hmm. And the cost to them is minimal. And when you phrase it in a way that guilts them into making them feel like, wow, our veterans serve and they can't even get their birth certificate, it will help move the needle. Second thing is, my daughter, I have two daughters, 27 and 25. They're constantly losing their birth certificates. In order for them to get their birth certificates, I had to provide my ID, because I'm on the birth certificate, to the state in order for them to release my daughter's birth certificate. Mm-hmm. So it is not an easy process. It is an expensive process. And if you have an area where transportation is not reliable, like where I am, because I'm in the suburbs and they designed it to keep Black and brown people out in Suffolk County, it's and if you're working, or if you don't have the funds to even take a bus. That's why it's important to make sure that you work with your local homeless facilities, that the not-for-profits that help homeless people, to get them to either pay for the birth certificates, and then you can petition your state for free IDs through the state, because that's where they issue them. So those are two things that people can do. And thank you for pulling me up.
You're
appreciate
welcome.
it.
Absolutely.
Have a great day.
You too. Appreciate you. So that's something that we talked about yesterday. We were talking about things that we could do. And what I said is, there are so many of us that are on this live that are from different states. What if every single one of us introduced and wrote up like a mock bill, right? And every single one of us asked our state representatives and our state legislatures to have a state ID sent to everyone when they turn 18 years of age, right? Just automatically. I think that if males, when they turn 18, are automatically registered, into the quote unquote draft, why shouldn't they also get a daggone state ID so they can vote, right? And if nothing else, drop it down to $5. But what if everybody in the country had a petition? Like, I think that whether you are Democrat or Republican, unaffiliated, libertarian, or whatever, or independent, everybody would say, hell yeah, I want everyone to have an ID. And if they don't, if there's a legislator that says, no, I don't want people to get an ID, then that person's into voter registration, voter suppression, and you should just call their ass out. So what I promised to do, and I've got a lot on my plate right now, but I promised to write up some sort of draft to that bill. I will put it in my link tree, and you take it, make it your own for where you live, for your state, and then take it to your representatives. Get local signatures. And when you get local signatures, folks, get them in writing so that they can't say, I know everybody likes to do digital. Let me tell you something. It is so much more effective when it's done in writing. And when it's done in writing, you make a copy. You don't ever give them your original anything. You make a copy. And then when you give it to those senators, when you give it to those legislators, when you give it to your city council members, when you give it to those people, tag them on social media, Thank them for meeting with you. Mention that you gave them a petition with 300 local signatures on it. Then tag your local media in it. And then write a letter to the editor telling them about it. You follow me? These are the ways that you hold them accountable and you do things that actually matter. This is why we're doing these conversations. It's why we're doing these trainings. How to talk to each other, how to talk with each other, how to actually move the needle. Listen, there are special elections. Yesterday, there was one in Westchester County in Pennsylvania. April 1st, District 1 and District 6 in Florida, they have special elections. And while it is a heavy lift, to flip those districts, it can be done. It can be done. And even if you fall short in flipping them on April 1st, you have done the work to prepare them for midterms. You hear me? That's the way that we do things. What, baby? I'm going to take your temperature, right? So these are just some of the things that we can do that make a difference. Okay? And so this journey, folks, is about what each of us does as individuals to be able to have conversations with our neighbors. These are what we do as individuals. That's what I thought. She's got a low grade temp.
What is that?
Yeah, she said, what, me sick? Yeah, you have a little low grade fever. So this is the stuff that is the work. And let me just say this, when people are like, oh my God, it's just too much. It is. And you have to fall in love with the work. It cannot be how many people's minds can I change? Because you might not see it. They might not change their mind when they're talking to you. It might be later, but it doesn't matter. All you have to do is fall in love with the work, be committed to the work, and trust that the work that you're doing, some of those seeds will plant, some of them will harvest, some of them will come about. You cannot, I say that all the time, rogue atheist, you cannot be attached to the outcome. You cannot be attached to the outcome. Focus on what is in your circle of control, what is in your circle of influence, and then whatever's outside of that, leave it to someone else, because what is not in your circle of control, what is not within your circle of influence is within somebody else's circle of control. It is in somebody else's circle of influence. You got it? Like, this is the way that we move things. Yes, absolutely. Get a real ID and start now. Listen, guys, don't wait to see if this bill passes. Don't wait to see if this bill passes. Work on getting your documentation now so that if nothing else happens, you have it. Right? We don't wait until a bill passes. We don't wait. See, here's what happens. A lot of times in the past, yeah, same thing. If you can afford a passport, yes. But oftentimes in this country, because we have been spoiled, right? We earned a bunch of rights. Thank you, see. We earned a bunch of rights and we never thought somebody would take them away, right? But they do, and they have. So we can no longer sit back and trust that everything is within our best interest, because it's not. Some of us have always known that. Stop it. Some of us have always known that. Some of you, it's your first time, right? Darla, I don't know. And not that I'm aware of. Stop playing, girl. So again, stop. I mean it. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, she thinks she's being cute. Quit, girl. All right. So listen, folks, stop. Seriously. So I'm gonna end the rest of this live. Hey, do me a favor. Look, your phone is plugged up. Go get it. I know. Stop. Let me finish. Because Bubby and Sissy are gonna come home from school soon. She is cute, but she knows it. That's the problem. All right. Stop it. Yeah, you're telling yourself to shush now. So what I do want to talk about really quickly is a little bit of what my training, she is a character. Those of you guys who know me, you know she's a character. All right, Brandy. So listen, one of the things, what? Oh, you didn't want to put your head there? Okay. So listen, let me say this, okay? She knows that we're inching up on the time. I'm normally on from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right? And so she knows that we are inching into that final hour, and so she is on one. But let me say this. So tonight's training that I'm doing, for those 100 of you that registered, it's at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm going to ask you to be on time because I'm going to start on time because I want to respect everybody's time. Okay. Appreciate that, Trap. Now, let me say this. Tonight's training will be recorded. It's full, mind's eye. It's full. There were 100 spots and all of them are gone. Okay. But there will be more trainings. Okay. But let me just say this. So there are 4 things that, that I believe needs to be brought to every conversation if you want to create, thank you, Gemini, if you want to create understanding. Yeah, baby. You what? You want ice cream? You want some right now? Well, there's some in the freezer. Ask Auntie if she'll get you some. I think she has a little bit of her birthday ice cream that's in there. It's cotton candy ice cream. Okay. So let me just say this. Okay. So I'm a big believer in talking about, no worries, Linda. I'm going to do the training again and there will be a recording. So, but let me just say this to you folks. So I'm a big believer in not being attached to the outcome, falling in love with the work, but also focusing on creating understanding, even if you don't gain agreement. And the reason why is if all of us do nothing except understand each other better, it means that we are less likely to hurt each other. We are less likely to support legislation that hurts each other. We are more likely to think about the impact of other things on other people if we understand, right? That's a huge thing. If you haven't yet, and you go to my profile, I broke it up into 6 different parts. I had a conversation the other day on this live with a woman who was MAGA all day. All day she was MAGA and she was ready to come in. And in her words, she came to cook, is what she said. And that conversation started really intense, right? Because she was all about it. And I was like, absolutely not, right? And then you'll have to watch all of it to see where it ended. And the thing is, that happens. You saw it happen earlier today, right? It happened it happens several times. And it's such a great thing to do, right? Of CARVE. So the training tonight is about an acronym that I made up called CARVE. It's 4 things that I believe that we ought to bring to every conversation where we are working with people, where we want to create understanding. So watch the people who've been following me for a minute. Guys, when we talk about CARVE, let's talk about the C. What's the C for CARVE stand for? What's the C? No, Brevin was the one before that. C is compassion. Yep, you got it, Auntie Tiff. C is compassion. Yep, look at you guys. Compassion, compassion, compassion. I love it. So we got the C. What is the A? What is the A that we have to bring to every conversation? Authenticity. I love it. Authenticity. Where is the R? What's the R, guys? Respect. You got it. Respect. And what's the V? What's the V? Vulnerability. Vulnerability. When you want to create a space in conversation, authenticity, you remember, Linda? Yeah, when you want to create a space in conversation where you can gain agreement, You have to bring compassion, authenticity, respect, and vulnerability because people do not care how much you know until they know how much you care. All right, so all things mom and beauty. Let me tell you this, okay? When you say vulnerability is hard for me, I want you to watch your language. It should be in the email that was sent to you, Renee, and you'll get another email. You got an email 24 hours in advance, and you'll get another email an hour before, and it's in that email. Now, listen, people do not care how much you know until they know how much you care. That is something that I believe with all my heart. So when you are having these conversations and you want to create understanding, those things have to be there. Now, when you say all things good, all things mom, when you say vulnerability is hard for me, you are now speaking that exact thing. So I have this thing that I tell everybody, appreciate the roses, guys. I say, do not speak what you do not want to be. Don't speak something that you don't want to be. Do you want vulnerability to be hard for you? If you don't, they'll be in my link tree, mind's eye. If you don't want it to be hard for you, don't say it is. You can say vulnerability used to be hard for me. Vulnerability used to be hard for me. And then you can say vulnerability has been hard for me. Vulnerability is easy for me. There's no E, it's just CARV. That's it, folks. It's just being mindful of what you say. Like, how many of you guys are saying that bad things are definitely going to happen? How many of you all are saying, next, this is going to be happening, and next, this is going to be happening, and next, this is going to be happening? How many of you all are speaking the exact things you don't want? To me, I don't need to add the empathy, Mama Dukes, because empathy is required for compassion. Empathy is required for compassion. You see what I'm saying? Don't say things are going to be bad. Right? Nope, don't feel it either. Don't even feel it, because even that feeling is energy. So deliberately woke. The training is full for tonight. 100 people registered. Oh, thanks, Nathan. I appreciate it. So listen, I will have this one will be recorded. It will be in my link tree. And registrations for future trainings will also be in there. Okay. Yeah. So listen, this is the thing. All of this is the work. And so what I told everybody as soon as the election was over, what I told everybody is this journey isn't going to be just about how we fix politics, because we are the politics. We are the people. When people say we need term limits, do you know what I say? We are the term limits. Vote accordingly. Is your place gerrymandered? Guess what you do? You go down and you ask them to put in, like they did in Ohio. Ohio added something to the ballot, a measure to the ballot, and so that there's no more gerrymandering. And they're one of the worst gerrymandered states. Don't let it just don't let it just be. Do not give up in advance. Don't. Yeah, you cannot fall for the doom traps. No, they're not in there yet, Tanya. Yeah, they're not in there yet. Yep, took 3 tries in Ohio, and who cares? What, baby? Okay, hold on one second, okay? All right, so yeah, baby cakes. Oh, you want your phone?
No.
My phone?
Your phone and from you.
She said, get your phone and come here. Well, hold on. I'm also on here. I'm on both of them. Okay. So give me just a second. I'm winding down. Okay. Okay. Nope, Lulubelle, the trainings do not, yeah, because she knows when I used to just be doing TikTok, I used to take my phone and go and get whatever. But she's not like neglected. My oldest child is here who's 30 years old and helping out and all of that. So listen, trainings are free. I don't charge for them because I just believe that anybody who wants it should get it. I do have different subscription levels, and those are tied to personal programs that are mine that I've developed, copywritten, and offer. I rolled it out to my existing subscribers earlier this week, and I'll be rolling it out to everybody else probably this weekend. I just got a couple of kinks that I need to work out on the back end. Okay. So tonight, Sheldon, I'm training on Carve, which is how to have conversations with people of opposing views. How do you talk to people who don't even understand, much less agree with you? How do you have effective communication? You know, a lot of times in the political world, people will say, oh, I knocked 1,000 doors. My question is, how many effective conversations did you have? I'm not impressed by how many doors you knocked. Okay, Elaine, I'll repost the link in Discord. I don't care how many doors you knocked. I don't care how many events you went to. I don't care how many people attended the rally. What's up, Emmy? Good to see you, right? It's about how many conversations are you having that are effective. How many of them are productive? That's the measuring stick. And you're not always going to know that they're effective. It's great when they are, and it feels good when you see it happening, right? But you can't always count on seeing it in that moment. Sometimes you're just the one planting seeds and you have to wait for them to harvest, and you may never see it. So I'll give you my perspective. There are things that I desire to see in this lifetime, right? There are things that I desire to see in this lifetime, and I'm working for those things. I may not see them, but my daughters might see them. My grandchildren might see them. So even if I don't get to see them and experience them not myself, the work that I do is worth it if they do. We have to take us out of it and just be about the work, like real talk. Somebody said they've got to catch up on podcasts. So let me just say this. I do have a podcast. It is The Danny Cook Show. It is on whatever your favorite platform is to stream podcasts. It's there. So it's on Podbean, Spotify, Apple Music, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Audible, Pandora, whatever you're using. The recording will be in my link tree when I'm done. I know one is missing from Spotify and I don't know why, but oh well. So listen, I'll check it and just double see and see if I can resubmit it. But the podcast, follow it, subscribe, download it, all the things. I'm excited because the podcast has been up about a month now and we have over 5,200 downloads, which is great. Yes, girl. Okay, I'm done. Next on my socials, this is TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, Blue Sky, and Substack. All of those, okay? I'm at The Danny Cook. That's where you can find me. TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, Blue Sky, and Substack. I am The Danny Cook at all of those places, okay? Lisa, I see that. But I'm training tonight at 6:30, so hopefully you registered. I've given out all of the information that I can about Save Act. What I will do is I will download one moment. I will download this live and see if I can't clip some of the most important parts of it and get it up there. I just did that from another conversation that we had. I am, Goldie, closing up. I know I'm closing early, but it's because I have training tonight that I need to prepare for at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay, so I appreciate you all. Thank you for the likes, the shares, the 200K in 2 hours. That's amazing. You guys were some tapping fools, and I really do appreciate it. I really do. If you're coming to the training at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I will see you there. If you are not, I will post the recording in my link tree and visit the link tree. There's a lot of information in it. I will add the links from today that we talked about to it as well. And make sure that you're following, you're subscribing, all the different things. And I will see you all same time, same place tomorrow, 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard, 11:30, Jesus, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll see you at 6:30 tonight if you're in the training, okay? I'll see you guys later. Love you back. Have a good one. You're welcome. See you guys.